All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that you can still probably find tucked away in those cheap boxes, those dollar boxes, those discount comics that you can still possibly grab if you go and look for them based on some of the recent news and goings on in the comics. Talk about some first appearances and some fun little stuff to kind of like help you out when you go out digging in those cheap boxes, give you something to hunt for, a little scavenger hunt kind of thing. Granted, some of these are worth a few extra bucks more than $1. Other ones, they may not be now, and they may be in the future. Who knows? This is mostly just for fun. And like I said, tie some things into things going on in the comics and movies and TV and whatnot. Hopefully, you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Check out the memberships and hit that join button if you are so inclined. Marco just dropped a members only video today that has some High Republic speculation tied to it with the most recent novel. So members, our S tier members, are getting a little sneak peek at that before I think he might bring it up again on Sunday on the Star Wars show. That all said, make sure you're checking out all the other shows here too, including Mail Call Madness, which will drop tomorrow night at 9 on the channel. The boys are hitting their 10th episode. They're going to be doing some giveaways, so make sure you check that out tomorrow night at 9 p.m. with Dom and Jedi, because like I said, it's their 10th episode and they got some things that they want to give away to you guys. And don't forget about Saturday Night Special, the live show on Saturday that's on here as well as on Absolute Geek Podcast at 8 p.m. And like I said, make sure you check out the Star Wars show on Sunday. I may not make it this Sunday because I have a wedding to go to, but we'll see how things shake out this weekend. That all said, intros all aside, you want to know what books I got for you this week, all you got to do is hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. Okay, so first up, we're actually going to go back to something that we touched upon last week. I kind of rushed last week's Dollar Bin out because I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't feeling well. And then at the last minute, I decided to throw it out there. So just want to make sure this gets proper note and coverage. So we're going to look again at this first issue of the new Spider-Man series because there was a hero murdered in here, and the murder ties back into a character we talked about last week. Again, this is the new Spider-Man run, the single solo titled Spider-Man, like McFarlane's run. So this is another volume here that's covering some new stories here with Peter Parker. This issue 1, and in this issue, I know it's comics, so deaths might not hold, and this may be a spoiler. So if you don't want to know, don't watch. But in this issue, Spider-Man Noir kills, looks like he kills Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, as he stabs her with some like mystical knife that erases her from the timeline. It's some kind of crazy web of life Spider-Man silliness. Well, maybe not silly. It's some crazy Spider-Verse stuff. So Jessica Drew seems to be now gone if this issue holds. Like I said, it's comics. We'll probably get another version, maybe from another universe. Maybe this one will return as they undo this web of life thing. But just note that Spider-Man Noir isn't a villain. He is currently possessed by the character that I mentioned before that they were saying was going to play a major role in this Spider-Man series going forth, and that is this spider web of life character, this villain Shathra. So once again, I know we talked about it last week, so we're double dipping a little bit, but I just want to remind you again to check out this character because this book is still really, really cheap. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 46, the second volume of Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's and legacy number, what is it? Let me 497, somewhere in there. But again, thing is still going for pretty cheap. Copy sold for $5 this week, and copy available. Oh, there's not many. There's not many actually out there right now, but the one copy available is like $10 online. So check your shops, and like I said, check those dollar bins because this second volume of Spider-Man didn't have a lot going on in it. I mean, outside of some of the more loon and that type of stuff, which you should also go look for. But keep an eye out for this one because, like I said, this could be a cheap pickup, and who knows where it could go as this story continues. Like maybe this character gets a little more traction and a little more exposure. So we'll see if we see more Shathra beyond this intro arc for this new title. That said, we're going to move on to another Spider-Man topic, but this one's actually going to tie in with X-Men, and that's why I'm rocking all this X-Men stuff, because apparently I have a lot of X-Men news today to get into a little bit. So this one is this dark web storyline that we're going to be getting coming soon. This big spider event that's forthcoming again with the web of life and all these spider characters and all that. But we're also getting some other clone type characters. So this is tying in kind of like Ben Riley, who's probably one of the most famous clones in the Marvel universe, with another immensely I guess maybe forgotten about clone, and that's Madeline Pryor. Like, I think a lot of people forget that she's a clone of Jean Grey from back in the day. So Madeline Pryor is apparently going to be playing a part in this dark web storyline. And then you got Miles, who also has his own clones that he has to deal with. So we'll see where this plays out. Now, speaking of Madeline Pryor, if you go online and look at some online resources, some of them might tell you that she first appears in Avengers Annual number 10, which is also Rogue's first appearance. And that's incorrect. This is not the same character. Just to be clear, to make sure you do your research and look into it properly. Yes, there is a character in here called Maddie Pryor, this little girl, and even Chris Claremont made a little wink and a nod to it much later in the Uncanny X-Men run about this character. But he has even said that this is not the same person. This is not the same character. He just liked the name, and I think it's based off of like some UK musician or something from like the 60s. I don't know, but he just liked the name, so that's why he used it twice. But they are not the same character. So this is not the first appearance of the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. This is Maddie Pryor. This is a little girl who just is in this one issue. That's it. So let's put that to rest. This is not the book for that. This is first Rogue, so get it for that, which is why it's already expensive. But that said, if you want the first Madeline Pryor, you want Uncanny X-Men 168, which, again, I know some of these Uncanny issues could be tough to find, but there are a lot of them, and I still find chunks and runs in those cheap boxes. And so just keep an eye out for this one. Apart from having a pretty cool Kitty Pryde cover, this is a decent issue that also has, like I said, the first appearance of Madeline Pryor in it. So there she is at the end. This is Madeline Pryor. It's taken, Cyclops by surprise, because everybody thought Jean Grey had been gone. She sacrificed herself with the Dark Phoenix saga. We all know that. It's all well known. And this is before Jean actually returns, in the 80s. But Madeline Pryor, granted, she played a big role in like the with Mr. Sinister and Inferno, the original Inferno run and all that stuff, but she's hung around for a while. So let's just not forget her completely. And this is a book that you can still find out there. Like I said, the occasional Uncanny book might spike here or there, like the first Binary and whatnot, but there's a good chunk of these that are just sitting there for cheap because they're just run fillers to most people. So this is the first appearance that you shouldn't forget about. So just keep an eye out for it in case you stumble upon it for cheap. So that's why I'm bringing it up. And even if you do find it, you can see it could do all right. It could sell anywhere from like $9 to $19. Those are some recent sales, and the asking prices right now, it could be as cheap. Look, there's one asking $1. Granted, it's got $10 shipping, but it's still listed online for $1. So in theory, there you can even get it online for $1. But a lot of other copies are in that kind of like a $10 to $20 kind of range. And again, there's higher, there's outliers either way, but for the most part, this is like a $10 to $20 book right now. So just keep an eye out for it, because, like I said, it's first appearance and it's one you should just be mindful of when you find those uncanny runs in those discount boxes or those back issue boxes when you're out there digging. So have at it. Like I said, I got more X-Men news for you. So again, I'm doing a lot based off the comics this week because there wasn't a lot of movie or TV show news. Like, there wasn't a lot of tie into She-Hulk. There isn't really a lot to tie into like Andor and things like that. Werewolf by Night, we'll see. Maybe next week we'll have something after the show drops tomorrow. But for now, I'm hitting up a lot of the comics. And another comic that recently dropped was Marauders. The most recent issue of Marauders kind of made, and again, I got this off of CBR. A lot of these articles come off of there because there's a lot of interesting stuff there. So go check that out as well. But Marauders just made this character the X-Men's oldest living enemy, I guess you would say. And it's not because it's like, oh, what's from their first issue? It's Magneto. Like, this is going back in time, like saying this character has been around forever. And this is all coming about in Marauders number 7 issue that just came out, like I said, this past week. And it's talking about these siblings of which are actually, they're like mutant bacteria or something. Like, I It's kind of weird, it's kind of weird to kind of grasp and get a hold on, like this bacteria that kind of infects hosts, like human hosts. And they're talking about Archaea and Sublime. So Sublime is the one we're actually focusing in on because again, they're siblings, they clashed, but Sublime is what we're looking at here as far as I guess the big bad that we might be having to look out for. And this is a character that's been around for a little while, not had a huge role in the X-Men comics, but it's kind of dipped in and out here or there. Like I said, it's like a host, it's like a parasite. So this parasite has been around for a long time. This bacteria, this evil bacteria. But the first introduction of the character was this is a crazy Grant Morrison idea. So Grant Morrison's new X-Men run. This is the annual from 2001. This is where we're getting the introduction of this character. Granted, this book also has the first appearance of Zorn, in a sense, because they decided to switch Zorn up, and this is the real Zorn, and all of that. So this already has some kind of interest in it because of the Zorn angle, but this is also the first Sublime, and it's still pretty darn cheap. And so sideways book too, so keep an eye out for that. How the art is, you can see it's like on its end, like it's awkward when you dig into a box. It'll stand out because of how this cover is laid out, but copies of this thing can sell for like $5 to like $10. Like you see those best offers on $5 and $13.50. It's not an expensive book at all, even now. And available copies now, you can see there's copies out there for like $3, $8, $14 thereabouts. And granted, you got to pay shipping, but not a pricey book, and a book you could probably find out there in those cheap boxes. So go grab those annuals. Annuals always get tucked away in those discount bins because a lot of annuals are just ignored and forgotten about. So keep an eye out for this one because it is the first appearance of Sublime, an idea introduced by, like I said, Grant Morrison. Now, they kind of retrofitted the character into the past already in the X universe. So there is also this other book to keep an eye out for as Dr. Sublime, because the character of Sublime was apparently unnamed at the time in Marvel Comics Presents number 79, which awesome. Barry Windsor Smith cover. This is the great Weapon X run because the bacteria parasite was actually in one of the doctors that was part of the Weapon X program. And that's also kind of the idea in the story that they're kind of telling how this bacteria is like mutating mutants and helped create some of them and tweak them like Phantom X and all that stuff going forward. But issue 79 is another one you might want to look for just because apart from the very cool cover, like I said, the unnamed doctor that the bacteria was retrofitted back into with a little bit of a you know retcon into the X-Men storyline is in this issue. So this thing again could sell for like $10 or so. Those are how much copies have actually sold for recently on the lower end, but there's copies also out there 10 to $20. There's also higher asks, like there's a lot of 30 to 35s because of the this is the first Weapon X design. You got that Wolverine on the cover with the helmet, classic image, really cool cover. So yeah, this is one you just want to look for anyway. But it's just a fun little thing to go hunt for that extra angle of Sublime, I guess. Now, I got another X book for you. And this is going to tie in with X-Men Red, another series that's running right now. And here we go. X-Men are going to get betrayed again in this storyline. And this is a popular theme. X-Men are always getting stabbed in the back by somebody. There's always a traitor, the next X traitor. But in the this tie into Judgment Day too. So in X-Men Red number 7, they kind of figure out that Abigail Brand has been been kind of working with somebody else, and looks like Cable's on board with this little plan here too. So something to keep an eye out for. And the running theory that I was reading like through and online is that Brand is working with this other group that was created, the Orchis, if I'm saying the name right, that was introduced in House of X 1, which, again, this is kind of a tough book to find. And considering how heavily printed this was, I was surprised at how few copies are actually out there or moving. There's a ton of covers for this book, ton of different covers, store variants and all of that, and all kinds of variants. But just the regular old cover A is what I wanted to look for. Was pretty tough. And like I said, to actually track down on its own, there's a lot of sets, like you can get Powers of X and House of X 1 through 6, and it's not cheap. But finding it on its own was kind of tough. This thing can sell cheap, though. You can see, look, a copy gets sold for $4 at auction with 5 bids, and then some random issues of Powers and House of X thrown together. Not a full run or anything, just some random issues sold for 99 cents at auction. So this can sell for cheap, but really, there were a lot higher price sales. I'm just showing that there are cheap options out there. But the asking prices I could find on the individual number one for this cover A is asking like 15 to 20, which also was kind of surprising. Once again, lots of sets asking like close to $100 for the two minis like together. Just kind of tough to find. But if that's the case, and Abigail Brand is a trader, well, it looks like she's a trader. And again, you want to look for her first in the Astonishing X-Men 6 for the full, and I think she was gets that cameo in issue 3. So yeah, once again, and we mentioned it on the show before, talked about those before. There's also that toy, not for resale cover that has the cover, I think, the issue 3, but the guts of another issue. All those things. Definitely keep an eye out for those Abigail Brand issues. But if it ties into this Ortiz like team, then this is the book that you also want to pay attention to. Also, a lot of firsts in this book as well. So this revamped the X-Men run again, as they've been revamped so many times over the decades now. This is an important issue just for that. So if you can find it for cheap, go ahead, scoop it up, because it's probably worth your effort. Plus, it was a decent read. As crazy as it was a decent read. I mean, introducing all those ideas with Krakoa and them building their own little nation and how they were able to reincarnate themselves and bring themselves back with like downloads and crazy ideas. But definitely one to just keep an eye out for. Moving on, I think I got two more left for you. So the next one, we're gonna hop on over to DC and look at that recent Joker issue that came out, because it's Joker's kind of crazy. I mean, as you know, I decided to show you guys the Nakayama cover because I like David Nakayama, and I think the purple kind of pops. But in this Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, number one, they introduced that there's another Joker. Now, I know we've had the notion of the three Jokers out there before. I don't know if this is directly going to tie into that, or if this is just another person that could be out there. Because again, the theory that I was reading about in this article with the second Joker having been surfaced is that this character could be just a minor character that we've seen in the Batman title before, particularly at the end of the Joker War in issue 100 of Batman. Joker was at, again, this was kind of like almost like an epilogue to the tale. At the end, he was at like a diner talking to this dude, and this guy eventually came to the realization that he's sitting there. I mean, how did he not know he's talking to the? I mean, he's got the white hands. How did he not know he's talking to the Joker? I don't care how low his hoodie was pulled down. How do you not know you're talking to the Joker? But here it is. He gets the realization that he's talking to the Joker, who, with the, I guess, a Smilex, if we're going to go with that, with his little Joker stuff, he infects him. And basically, he's just trying to make it look like the Joker's dead. So that's what he's going to be, his double, Dead Ringer. That's the name of this little mini story that was at the end. But the article that I was reading was kind of pointing out that maybe this guy didn't die here. Maybe he survived, and maybe this is who this second Joker who showed up is. Again, far-fetched, crazy idea. Who knows? It's just a crazy story to begin with. But for fun, let's look into it, and let's look for Batman 100, which, again, didn't come out all that long ago. It came out in 2020 and was heavily printed, so there's probably a lot of overstock out there. All right, but here, if we look even online, that these things sell. I mean, this is less than cover, because I think this was like since it was a milestone issue, I think it was oversized, and I think the cover price was probably on the more pricey side, probably like $8 to even $10. I can't remember, but I think this was a thicker book and it had a higher price tag. So even at the $6 sale recently, I think that was at a discount. But these, like I said, these types of overstock books, you could usually find them in the discount boxes. So just keep an eye out for it, just like I said, for fun. And even available copies too, you can see they're around that like $6-7 kind of range, which is, again, undercover, but it is what it is. And in this one, in particular, multiple covers on this too. There's like a Matina, I believe, as well, and store variants and some exclusives and convention exclusives, all kinds of stuff. Because again, milestone Batman issue, plenty of copies to be had out there. So just keep an eye out for it. Why not, right? Who knows? Who knows if anything will come with this? But people like the Joker, and if anything comes from this, and this does tie back to the Joker War, that's when things could spike. If not, it doesn't no big deal. Again, I'm not telling you go spend market prices or go spend a lot of money. I'm just saying keep an eye out in those discount boxes, those cheap boxes, whether it's $1 boxes, $2 boxes, however you find your cheap comics, whether you go to half price books, flea markets, yard sales, wherever you're doing your hunting. Just look again, keep an eye out for some of this stuff. All right, I think I got one more, and just for fun, I decided to throw this in here, even though I did talk about this series before on Hidden Gems, but not everybody watches all the stuff that I do. So I want to make sure you dollar bin hunters also know that, well, Dead Space, we're getting a remake of the Dead Space game, which was a pretty cool, like, survival horror kind of like in space sci-fi uh video game, and they're remaking it, with the modern graphics and all that fun stuff. So I expect this to be just as good, and maybe even more so with the ambiance and the darkness. It's creepy game. It's a creepy game. And like I said, so the remake's got a gameplay play trailer was just recently released. Looks pretty good to me. But there is a comic series, and I like looking for these video game comic series because they're not usually printed all that heavily, and they're interesting. And with movies hitting now, like video game movies are now no longer jokes, like they've made actual some successful video game adaptations. Maybe we see some more of this stuff coming forward. So keep an eye on the comics as well. I mean, if the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix show can sell Jeffrey Dahmer comics, why can't this, right? So Dead Space came out of Image Comics from back in the day. It's like a short run. I think this is the first. I think there's a couple of minis, but I think this first mini might have only been like 4 issues. You can see this thing sells pretty well. So if you can track this down and find it in a box, because people don't know much about Dead Space, you might make out. Because look, even somebody at auction had got one pretty cheap at $3.25, but other copies sell more in that like $20 to $25 range for issue 1. And then look, 36 bids to get the 5-issue mini for $60, and that took a lot of bids to get there. Asking prices, on the other hand, are closer to like I said, $20 to $40 for issue 1, and this is not even the full mini. This is Dead Space 1 through 4, and then an Extraction one shot for $100. So incomplete, things out there, even asking healthy prices. So if you can find any of these Dead Space books, consider it. Consider it. You might make a few bucks. Who knows? Plus, it's interesting stuff. I mean, look at that cover. I think that's Ben Templesmith of 30 Days of Night fame. So, pretty cool stuff. And that's all I got for you this week. I know, wasn't a lot, another quick week, but there's some stuff that you can go out there and find and hunt, like I said, just for fun. Maybe you find stuff. I know, or recapped and recovered things I've already talked about before, but there's just nothing wrong with reminding you to check it out again. With that said, thanks again for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you check out all the other stuff here on the channel. As I said, not only just my shows, but my friends' shows as well. But I do plenty of shows on here, as you know. So come back, for Hidden Gems on Monday, and Chasing Ghosts on Tuesday, and we'll do this all again as I'm back on the regular schedule. And maybe I can even add some little extra specials in between now and then. In addition to the regularly scheduled programming. I kind of want to get back to doing top 10 toys because I like toys. So maybe bring that back at some point. So let me know what you think, like I said, in the comment section, what kind of stuff you want to see more of, what stuff you like, what you don't like. I'm open for suggestions. We've passed 2K, and we will be marching our way towards 3K, but that's probably a long way off. So before we get to another big giveaway, thanks to everybody who supports the channel. And you saw all the winners are now getting their prizes in the mail. I'm getting tagged all on Instagram, showing off the stuff that I sent off to them. So thank you. I appreciate you all. And we'll do more giveaways going forward. Like I said, if you like giveaways, come back for Mail Call Madness tomorrow. Those fellows are doing a giveaway tomorrow. So with that all said, thanks again for stopping by. And I'll be back soon with some more content. All right, later.